Nations as well as the Dutch government. He holds PhD from Temple University in Philadelphia and multiple master's degree certificates, an MBA in international business, an MA in economics, and MSc in marketing. Ladies and gentlemen, he brings to us today an unparalleled depth of knowledge in global higher education systems, governance, and professional practice. Distinguished guests, with a resounding applause and joining me in standing, help me give our distinguished guest speaker, Professor Dr. S.J. Tuninga, a magnificent, warm HTU welcome.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Yep. Yep. Okay. Can you hear me? Yeah? Okay. Dear Vice-Chancellor Ben Honyenuga, dear family Honyenuga, dear colleagues, distinguished guests, students, alumni, ladies and gentlemen. It is fantastic to be here today with you on this wonderful day here in June. And it may even get more wonderful at the end of the day when Ghana beats Panama, right? I thought I would have some football lovers in the room. But unfortunately, I cannot talk about football today. We can do that afterwards. So, before I start with my lecture, I first want to share with you two stories. Two short stories about my relationship with Africa and Ghana. And the first story is, you have seen my last name in the handout, the program schedule, and my last name is Tuninga. And in Africa, you would say Tuninga. Now, I'll share you a little story. I found out about 20 years ago that not only do I have a Frisian name, but I also have an African name, and I'm proud of it. And I quickly tell you how I found out. I was in a small country called Namibia, which is a little bit far away from here, but still in Africa. And I was giving a keynote speech at a graduation. And then afterwards, the local press asked me whether I could come to the television station the next morning. And so I said yes. And so the next morning I went to the local television station, and I was sitting and waiting. This was one of those live breakfast programs, you know them. I've seen them here also in Ghana. And so the lady who was actually doing the interview hadn't met me yet. So after a couple of minutes, she came out of the studio and she looked in the hallway and she clearly saw me sitting there, but then went back into the room, back into the studio. Then 15 minutes later, there was another commercial break. She came back out, and this time she decided to come to me. And she said, "Have you seen anybody here?" And I said, "No, I have been waiting here patiently." And she said, "Yeah, I'm looking for a Mr. Tuninga." And then I said, "You may have just found him." And she looked at me. Obviously, she didn't expect me to be Mr. Tuninga. I wonder why. And then she proceeded, she said, "You have a name that is common here in Namibia." I said, "Oh, I wasn't aware of that." And she said, "Yeah, actually, your name has also a very nice meaning in this country." And I said, "Oh, what is that?" And she told me, "Your last name means bringing people together." And then I said, "That is my core business." But then I met your Vice-Chancellor, and he does it much better than I do. He brings people together all the time. So, my second little story is, about 20 years ago, I met a person in the Netherlands. And this person was in the Netherlands because he wanted to learn, he wanted to study, and he wanted to get a PhD and later on become something. And he didn't want this just for himself. He was a very committed person. He said to me, we had very long discussions in the beginning, and he talked about a topic for PhD that was actually a bit too big. It would have taken him maybe 20 years to do. But it was very good topic, because what he wanted to do is, he came from a small place here in Ghana. He wanted to make the region better. He wanted to make the country better. He wanted to help his people. And this person sits here on the front row, and that is my former PhD student, now Professor Ben Honyenuga. You can just imagine those two events changed my life forever and made it that I love Ghana, I love Africa, and I will do what I can do for this part of the world. What I also love, when I looked at the logo of your university here, it says, Aduna Nazu Kekeli, yeah? Yeah? I try. I guess I need practice. But what I like about that is something that will come back in my speech today. It is about wisdom leading to insight. And that is really important these days. Okay, having said that, if you came here today and you thought, oh, we have this professor from the Netherlands, and he's going to explain everything about AI. Unfortunately, I have to disappoint you. I will not be talking about the nitty-gritty of AI. What I will be talking about is the impact that AI will have on all these wonderful professors here, the impact that AI will have on all the wonderful students in this room, and the impact AI will have on the business community and organizations alike across Ghana and beyond. So I will talk about AI, but probably a bit different than you perhaps expected when you signed up to be here today. Although some are maybe here mandatory, but I didn't hear that. So it's great to see you all here. So my speech today will be focusing around 6 parts. First, of course, a little introduction, and then I will really talk about there is much going on in the world, including a trend around AI. And then, what does it mean? What does it mean for your work? What does it mean for what you should be learning? And what does it mean going forward? So I will talk about what it means for education and research, and what maybe could be of benefit for technical universities, such like Ho Technical Universities, but others in Ghana as well. So these are some of the things I will be talking about. So let's start with what it is that we have to look at if we talk about AI. These questions will come back over and over again during this. There are a number of questions we have to ask ourselves. A lot of you sitting in the back there, you signed up for Ho Technical University looking for a bright future, hoping to get wonderful jobs as part of your career. And I must say, I am a little bit double in that. I wish I was still your age, and I could be having fun near the dormitories and so on and so forth and doing all. And also because these are exciting times, but not necessarily always easy times. They're exciting times. So I hope that this will also stimulate you to think about. But if we talk, and that's for the professors here, and for you as students, and for everybody else, is we have to try to address, and I will come back to that in this speech, 3 major areas. What is relevant education? What is relevant research? And how do we create societal impact? So, this word relevant is very important, because right away it connects us. Education that you're doing, or the research that you may be involved with, or the working with the business community is not by itself. It is part of a larger environment. And if we are going to understand what that means, we have to understand this environment. And part of that environment is, of course, AI as well. So let me start at a very broad picture. What does the globe mean to us here in Ghana, to us here in the Volta region? So these are things to think about. What is happening around the world, and what are important trends, and maybe how are they also interconnected? So today I want to touch briefly on 4, but I will only really in detail go for 1. There are many global things going on. Geopolitical, we know it, we read it in the paper every day, we see it on the news. A lot of things going on in the world. So what is changing, when I think about it, in 1981 and 1989, it was the end of the Cold War era. When I look around me now, I think we are right back into that as we were before. So things are changing at the geopolitical level, which means that we have to rethink globalization and regionalization. So, it doesn't show anymore? Oh, there it is. Okay, so I'll come back. I will talk a little bit about climate change, not much, because that could be a whole other topic. I will focus, that's why I put it in red, on artificial intelligence and how it is changing our world. And so we will focus on one And the bottom one is, of course, a very important one, but I will not really discuss at all. Just remember, the one good thing of the bottom one, that's why I left it on anyway, is Africa is in the lead on this. You have a young population, you here in the room are the future, even though in some parts of the world they don't know that yet. But you know it, and we know it. So, these things are interrelated. If I look at artificial intelligence and geopolitical situation, then we see things like, just recently, last Friday, for example. Last Friday, the US government prohibited Anthropic to release its Mythos and Fable 5 artificial intelligence model to the world. It could only be open to American companies. And there you can see that even geopolitical has an impact on artificial intelligence. And we have to think, what does that mean in the future if we don't get access? So these are things, how things interact. So let's go back to the geopolitical thing. We see a lot of things going on in the world. You read it in the paper every day. You see trade wars between America and most the rest of the world. We see, of course, real wars in this part of the world, but also in other parts of the world. And these are things that we have to consider very carefully. So it has an impact on how we go. So, of course, geopolitical also has an impact on, for example, climate change. You know, when big powers get out of the Paris Accords, for example, it has an impact for many countries across the world. So these are things to look at. Now let me talk a little bit about technology change. And maybe you can put the slide on the big screen here. You know, I thought, well, I'm from the Netherlands, as you found out earlier on. So I bring a windmill to you. So I don't know whether you know that, but in the Netherlands, they always have some stereotypes. I should have come on my wooden shoes this morning. I didn't bring them. I should have brought tulips with me. I didn't bring them. And of course, the Netherlands is known for its windmills. So that's why I thought, well, I might as well bring a picture for windmills. Now you may think, yeah, that's very nice. This guy was going to talk about technology and so on and so forth. What does this have to do with artificial intelligence? Well, let me explain it to you. What you see, of course, now we are very, when we look around us, we always wondering what will happen next and so on. And this is not new. Technology has an impact and has had impact on people for centuries. So what I'm showing you here is a picture of a sawing mill. And you may think, what is a sawing mill and why is this interesting? Well, I give it also to my own students, this example always, because when the sawing mill was introduced as a result of this patent, and I hope that as technical university students and professors, you will put many patents on your name, but this was one patent in 1593, so quite a while ago. But that patent replaced 40 people. So in other words, before 1593, we had one person sawing a tree. And now we had a windmill with a little technology change, which will do it on the wind and could do the work of 40 people. So what we're talking about, I know your Vice-Chancellor's area of expertise is performance, for example. What are we talking about here? We are talking about a 4,000% productivity gain. That is an awful lot of one little patent. So just think of course, these people that were used to cutting the trees were not very happy in those days. So they went out and they demonstrated and said, we want our jobs back, and so on and so forth, because they felt that they were displaced by this technology. This is what will happen now with AI, just the same way. But then let's look at the positive side of things here. The positive side of things is that actually this little patent was for the Netherlands the start of what we call the golden age in the Netherlands, which basically made the Netherlands a very economically powerful country. Because not only could we cut trees much faster than anybody else, a so-called competitive advantage, we could then build ships faster than anybody else. And the people that used to cut the trees became shipbuilders, and many other jobs came out of that. So that's how technology works. So don't be afraid, but be careful. So this is why I gave you this example, because it is something to think about when we think about all the things that are going to happen with respect to artificial intelligence. So, then it is very important to understand this environment and how things are interrelated, because they can help you with certain things to move on and to basically implement it. I'm sure you will use artificial intelligence to do a lot of things. I know you have here a solar technology center here at the university. And of course, with solar technology also comes the question, okay, what do we do with all the energy on days that we don't need it? It is interesting, we have that in the Netherlands too, but we don't have as much sun as you have. But what we still do, when we have too much energy, maybe we work with batteries, and nowadays these batteries are becoming smart batteries. So they know when they need to get the energy into the battery, and then they also understand when they have to give it back to the net. This could, for example, mean that you have a lot less power outages in this country, for example, and can work much more regionally going forward. So basically, when we go to the era of AI, what we are seeing is we are going from an era from industrial revolution to an AI revolution, which has to do with more the services side of things. So when you think in 1593, it was machines that replaced people and created new jobs. AI may also replace tasks and jobs, as we will see in just a second, but there will be new things we don't know yet. And that's up to you, the young people here, to figure out what is the future. So AI will be here to stay and actually will reshape business, education, and research. And we see that it's rapidly in all kinds of industries. I was reading an example in the Netherlands the other day about a shipbuilding company that is now starting to use self-learning robots that actually connect parts of the ships together. Very dangerous job, is now going to be done by AI engaged robots in building new ships. And they have to do that in order to stay competitive. So we will have to rethink why you are here. We have to rethink what is important for you to learn. And that is that third, universities must rethink the importance of skills, content, and learning. And that is what we're looking at. So, let me ask a simple question here, especially from the students first. Have you ever used something like ChatGPT? Raise your hand. The professors are not watching, so don't worry. They're not watching. Have you used it? Oh, I see people say, they don't want to tell their professors they do it. They go like this, you know? Okay, yeah, I'm using it, but nobody should know about it, right? Okay, so you have started to use what they call the large language models as part of your education. If you use it, it's not necessarily a problem, but it is a problem what you use it for. So yeah, we have to think, and that is what I will talk about in the next couple of slides. So if we look at, this is a study by PricewaterhouseCoopers who did a big study, and they said, okay, how are people optimistic that it will bring benefits? Are people optimistic or pessimistic about it? If you look here to the 4 quadrants, on the right-hand side, you see countries where both business leaders and entry-level jobs, mostly the jobs that maybe you get into after you finish here at the technical university, are very positive. So you see countries like India and China, they think actually it's going to help them. So that's on the left-hand side, on the top, you see countries where at least the business leaders are a bit more cautious. People going into entry-level jobs are still optimistic. And on the bottom quadrant here to the left, you see 1 or 2 countries where both are pessimistic about the future of jobs. So that's something to think about. So the perception of what AI will do for you is not universal. It depends on what culture you're coming from, maybe how much you already been in contact with it, what are you doing with it. So if we look at the next slide, so let me do that for you. This is the bad news for the students here. Stanford University did some research, and this line here is when ChatGPT was introduced. And what do we see here is all the lines go pretty much the same, except for one. You see this blue line here? And actually, what it said there is, they found in their study, is that entry-level jobs were disappearing. That's not good news, right? I have good news for you later. But this, on first sight, looks, ooh, this is scary stuff. If companies don't want to hire students because they don't have certain skills that they desire, and you see, the more experienced group basically has the less problems with actually AI being introduced. AI here, of course, very narrowly defined as large language models like ChatGPT. Maybe you use Copilot or you use Claude or something like that. So what this means, we have to rethink, and you in the room, you also have to rethink, what skills do we need to make this line go back to normal? And this is the important thing for you in the coming years to think through, is how can we make sure that entry-level jobs are still available, but we probably, as students, have to do something different. So then let's look at the next slide. So about jobs created and displaced. And it is interesting to see here, this was a study about all kinds of areas. Where do we have a net gain or a net loss? So you see, the top one says broadening digital access. So in that space, we will create globally at least 10 million jobs in the coming years, according to a study of the World Economic Forum. So then if we look at this black arrow right here, it says, it's maybe hard to read from where you're sitting, but it says something about AI and information processing. Already better news than the previous slide, right? Because they say there will be a net gain of jobs in that space. So that's important for you as technical university students to understand. But what we also see, even though there is a net gain, some jobs will disappear, but luckily a lot more will come back in different forms. Actually, when you think about it a bit more, it is not about jobs, but it is about tasks that will disappear. So, and that means new jobs will have to be created. So, if we look at the next slide, then we see automation. We see what does this mean for the future of work. What we are seeing already, automation of routine tasks. So that means things that used to take a lot of time and used to be given to entry-level job holders is going to be automized. So you have to think. And that's, let me put it, I know you were all saying, like, I've used ChatGPT or Copilot, but I don't want the whole world to know. So at the end of your studies, you have to think about this because it's not about plagiarism and all this sort. At the end of your studies, you have to look in the mirror. And you look in the mirror, and you see the mirror, and you look in that, and then you see, does your mirror say ChatGPT when it looks at you? If that is so, you have done the wrong thing, because you have no value added in the job market. So what I'm saying here is you will, and we will talk about that, have to develop other skills that go beyond ChatGPT, Copilot, Claude, etc. Yeah? And so you have to look in that mirror and you hopefully say, I know a lot of other things, and therefore I am not necessarily like an early career person anymore, but I already have a lot of experience. I know how to do things, I know how to solve things, and so on. So what we will see, different core skills in demand. So you still should know how to use AI and all that sort of thing, but also a lot of other things. And I'll come back to that in a second. What we will also see in the future of work, human and AI collaboration. Humans will always be responsible for what happens. So you may have wonderful AI applications, but, and this, the fourth one, I'll come back to that also later, is unfortunately, but also fortunately, I think is exciting, because that says, yes, at some point you may leave Ho Technical University with a wonderful degree, which is valuable, but don't think that that's the end of your studying life. You will have to study your whole life to keep up to date and up to speed with the changes in technology, the changes that will come as a result of implementations of AI. Let me give you a very short example here of how loan assessments at the Dutch bank are being done these days. So loan assessments used to be done, you had to fill out a lot of paperwork, you had to write down what your income was and how long have you had that income and so on and so forth. And then, of course, a banking officer would look at that and about 3 weeks later, maybe, if you're lucky, it would tell you, okay, well, we think, given all the information you have provided us about a lot of stuff that is not really relevant, but you had to provide anyway, we will give you the loan. So what we see here at the ING Bank in the Netherlands is they use AI to do the initial screening. So people still hand in the information, and actually ING knows in about 10 seconds whether you possibly have a possibility for the loan. But the Dutch National Bank, the central bank, said, that's all very nice, but there are still some dangers here. So at the end of the process, there always has to be a human to make sure that the decision was made on valid reasons, objective reasons, and not the wrong reasons, right? So these are the things that we have to keep in mind. So in other words, with AI, and I'll give you an example in just a second, but also beware of ethical issues. Think about it, especially when we talk about the narrow intelligence, like the large language models. What are the large language models? Essentially, they grab all kinds of data from the internet, good and bad, and then they have statistics run on it. So they predict what the next word should be. When you think about it, it's rather interesting, huh? When I simplify AI to that level. Now, the big danger there is, all of you have been on the internet at some point, I presume, right? Not a bad assumption. You have also seen that there's a lot of garbage on the internet. Yeah? If you have to make decisions on a model that grabs all the garbage of the internet and then with some statistics decides on whether you get a loan or not, for example, you have to be so careful. There is the ethical dimension of this when you think about it. So it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be doing it, but you have to be very careful. And I hate to say this, but of course, a lot of the garbage on the internet is not made in Africa, but in many other countries of the world. And so may not necessarily be applicable here. So if you have something to test, if you're going to make decisions, then you have to make sure that it is something for this region. Okay, so there are opportunities. There are many opportunities. Increased productivity. Lawyers, for example, use AI to sort through all the documents that they need when they go into court and may summarize something much quicker than they ever could before. It may reduce operational costs, and we have to look at new innovation and entrepreneurial. But here there are some challenges. That's the good news for you. There is this skills shortage. You can still do something about that, yeah? Maybe there is not such a good digital infrastructure. So that is something that at a more policy level has to be looked at. So we have concerns on the data. Who is actually protecting and making sure that the data is the correct one in any given example? So if you really want to do well for Ghana or for the region, you will need local data sets. I mean, it's not fair and not good if decisions are made based on people in the Netherlands for something here in Ghana. That is not going to work. So that means you also have to look at indigenous AI applications. So there's plenty of work for you to do. Plenty of work. They're good thing here. So then let me talk a little bit about what this means for education and the skills. So the important thing here is, okay, if we talk about AI, and AI is then represented here, there are many more environmental trends, as we already said, but this is the AI, electronic brain, so to speak. Where do we have to begin? As technical universities, for example. So we have to examine our content. We have to look at what skills are in demand, how are we going to deliver it, and what pedagogy is important. So these are, if we look, we have to combine them and think about what this means. So, because only if you do that correctly, it will be relevant. So let's look at the next slide. And here we can talk about integrating AI in technical and business education. What means curriculum transformation? You have to understand data analytics. By the way, it doesn't matter if you're in engineering or in social sciences, you have to understand all of this. So that means we have to look at something what we call higher order thinking. Typically, what we have in education is we focus on remembering and understanding. You may still remember that because you may have just done some exams. And that is often about giving back what you have learned in before. But now we have to go to the area of critical thinking and judgment, analysis, problem solving. Those are the skills that will be really needed in the future. Now I'll give you this little AI thing, and then you understand why critical thinking is so important. I hope you can see it in the back, but it says, is this frog edible? And AI says, yes. The person dies, rest in peace. Oh, you're right, that frog was poisonous. I'm sorry for the confusion. Would you like to learn more about poisonous frogs? A little late, right? That is why critical thinking is important. If you were just going to depend on Copilot, ChatGPT, you would have eaten that frog and you would have died. Actually, I'm very sorry to say, people have already died because of AI. Because they were not thinking. They were asking medical advice. If you ask medical advice, be very careful. That's why we have medical doctors that can help you. So you have to have critical thinking. It is essential. So if you walk away from Ho Technical University without critical thinking, then you're not going to get too many jobs. So let's see what are some of the core skills. I understand this might be a bit hard to read from the back, but I'll just give you a couple. This was a study done by the World Economic Forum, and here are some of the core skills that are part of it. What are, they asked employers, what are some of the skills young people, early careers should have? And they said, critical thinking, analytical thinking, creativity, AI and big data, all those kinds of things, technology literacy, flexibility and agility. That is, you have to be flexible, do new things and so on. These are the things that are in this top part of the list. These are the skills that you will have and need for the future. It is interesting to see that in that same study, they did it also by region of the world. And actually what they found, it's actually almost universal. So it's not that different. We should teach students in the Netherlands and in Ghana all about critical thinking. That is, but if you look at this particular, you see in the last column here, you see these areas are what are the most in demand at this point by employers in sub-Saharan Africa. And there they say flexibility and agility, analytical thinking, leadership, technology, AI and big data. Those are the skills that they're looking for when you look at that sort of thing. Here, similar kind of thing. In addition, an OECD study looked at what are the skills that people need going forward. And they come back with quite a few of the same kind of skills. You see it here. This is a graph which says, where should you be now? And where are you going to be in 2030? Oh, I was just going to point something. Here you see things like technology literacy, AI and big data, those kinds of things will be in demand. And analytical thinking is in that here, creative thinking is here. So these are the things that are important for you going forward. Okay, if we look at that, then the next thing we have to look at is the pedagogies. That means we have to do different teaching. Now I look at the professors particularly. We cannot keep doing the way we did perhaps before. So just the old-fashioned lecturing might not be the right way. We have to confront young people with problem sets and let them think about it, come back, and we have to play a much more facilitative role in that process. So we have to make sure that these young people understand that they will be learning their whole life continuously after even they are done here at Ho Technical University. So again, what you see, therefore, project-based, problem-based learning, these are the new types of ways, pedagogies going forward to make sure that you get the right skills when you apply for your first job. So, when we talk about this, therefore we have to think about, okay, how is this linked to the business, the organizations, the stakeholder needs? We have to go to innovative and teaching methodologies that fit in these higher order thinking. And we have to work with industry. And I was very happy to see you do that in a great deal already here at Ho Technical University. But maybe you have to do even more than that you currently do. So employability is a big thing. So what we see is a pedagogy just focused on teaching will move to a pedagogy focused on collaboration with peers, collaboration with stakeholders, and so on and so forth, collaboration with organizations outside the university. And there are beautiful examples here. Now let me talk very briefly about the research part. I know I'm running out of time. So, briefly about what business practice research means. If we need to be better connected to the organizations to give our students the skills and so on, we also have to do that in research. So, as you already saw before, that means we have to speak different languages. You need your science. So technology, people here, the language of science, but science, of course, can be technology, engineering, social science, computer science. We have to understand the basics. If you don't understand basics, you cannot be critical. We have to understand how this is going to be applied. And that's where we need the organizations. What do they want in terms? And then we can design our research around that. So therefore we talk about language of science, language of stakeholders, and language of education and research. So your task has gotten a little bit more complicated, but that is what you need going forward. I found, of course, a wonderful project that you have on this wonderful tree that Ben showed me outside, where you have the fruits and so on. And that is an interesting example of what we need to do in combining working with other universities. This was planted somewhere else, I understood, working with other universities and working with organizations so that we get outcomes better. So, very good example. Give you an example on how it goes wrong if it doesn't work. This was a book published on chess. Now you all know how to play chess, right? I know I'm at a technical university, so that's a silly question. But if you look at this picture, you can say, oh, well, someone put in a lot of effort to design a nice cover of this book on chess, or someone put in a lot of information in the book about how to play chess. But what is wrong then about this picture? What is wrong with it? Well, it may be difficult to see in the back, so I'll give you the answer. If you look at the picture of the chessboard, it's wrong. The chess pieces are in the wrong fields. So certainly the person who made the cover had no user experience. So, and that's important. If you're in engineering, making the new road from the bridge to Ho, which I had the pleasure to be on yesterday, and as you probably know, there are quite a few holes in there. I had a fantastic driver, by the way, but you can see that if you don't understand how to make a new road in this particular context and so on, you're never going to get a fantastic road coming from the bridge to Ho. So you have to understand all the different aspects. You need the science on what are the best materials and so on and so forth, but you also need the context, because making a road here from Ho to the bridge is very different than making a same kind of road in the Netherlands. So, what in the research? I know where you have to go. So, you have researchers that behave like ants. They collect a lot of stuff, and that's sort of the fun of it. You have researchers that are like spiders. They wait in their beautiful web, and hopefully they catch something at some point, right? So, but what you want to be, and that's part of that core skills, you want to be a researcher like the flowers and the bees. You've heard of them, the flowers and the bees. Why is that interesting from a research point of view? Because they transform the honey as food for others. They transform it to protect things, and in doing so, they fertilize. So that is the most wonderful kind of research that you can actually do, is where you transform things to make them useful, and at the same time, maybe fertilize for further projects in the future. So, having said that, let me go to the almost final part, is what does it mean for some of the universities in Ghana, and in particular at technical universities? I would say the first three are more policy-driven, because you need your own AI infrastructure. There's a big discussion in Europe at the moment, because of course we used to be very friendly with the Americans, and now we know maybe we have to be taking care of ourselves. So, of course, people want to be friendly with you, but maybe Ghana or maybe Africa needs an AI infrastructure that is yours and not someone else. Promote African-centered innovation when you look at AI. Don't copy just other stuff that happens to be done at other parts of the world. And this is the ethical part, is build frameworks that are suitable for the Volta region, for Ghana as a whole, and maybe Africa as a whole. And so those are, of course, these are things that maybe a single university cannot do. Maybe together you can do quite a bit, and together maybe in cooperation with the government. These two things are what technical universities can do themselves. What can we do to look at higher order thinking, and how can we strengthen industry collaboration? Because that will be needed going forward. I think about the Anthropic example. When it is not given to you, you may have to build your own, but then you have to know also what the industry can give you in that particular context. Okay. So this is the human side. And now I look particularly, on the one hand, to the professors, and on the other hand, to all of you, the students in this particular room. Remember, I gave you the example standing in front of the mirror. If you walk away here, and the only thing you learned is using ChatGPT so that you could do your homework better and quicker, so you could go back to having fun with your friends, then you made a mistake. But if you, at the end of your study, say, I looked in the mirror, and what I'm seeing is a wonderful young boy, young man, young woman that not only knows about these things that I've learned in my study, helped by ChatGPT, but can start on the road to leadership, to critical thinking, to creativity, ethical reasoning, technology literacy, flexibility, and lifelong learning. So if you look in that mirror and you see those skills on yourself, I'm sure that you will not be one of the persons in that early career that won't find the jobs, because then you will have the skills that will be needed going forward. So that's very important. And so learning outcomes are important. And you can do that in many different ways, because when we talked about projects a little bit, or problem-based learning, well, entrepreneurship, when you set up your own new companies, that is learning. In order to set up a new company, you need to know something about business, you need to know something about social sciences, you need to know something about the technical sciences, you need to know different things. So also talk to people in other disciplines, not only your own. Make sure that you connect with them, and that will help you going forward. So then, if we look at technical universities, they also have a responsibility. These young people are still with you at Ho Technical University. But here in the Volta region and beyond, there are many people that maybe graduated 5, 10 years ago. And they need new skills. They need also these new skills. So you need to improve how you deal with professionals and educating them with that. And you may need to do that in a much more modular and flexible way. But these are the things that you will have to look at going forward. So, what does it mean? Of course, there are very interesting opportunities when you look at where you are. Create innovation hubs. Because look at it, you have a market of 1.5 billion people in Africa. That's quite a few people, right? And not too many countries or continents can say that. So there is plenty of opportunity here. And you have the young people that can actually do the work. Even in Ghana, 36 million is quite big. If you think about it, you have more people in Ghana, about double the number of the Netherlands. So you can do fantastic things here. I don't know the exact population in the Volta region, but it must be a substantial number as well. So look at industry partners, look at entrepreneurship and incubation. And I put this picture on, there you see all these things coming together. Other universities in the world are also looking at what must we do in order to deal better with AI and how we can better work and create skills for our students. A very recent example is that maybe you've heard of two universities in the UK, Cranfield and King's College, London. Two universities, actually quite famous, both of them. They have decided to merge. Why did they decide to merge? Because that way they can bring a lot of multidisciplinarity to the student body that they both serve, more than when they would be separate. So it's not just about money, it's about how can we educate to the future. So, we're almost there. I'm sure you're happy about that. So, A lot of challenges, right? See it as an opportunity. There are so many interesting things out there, but we cannot take things for granted. You have to work for it. So the technical universities should be co-creators of innovation. At the second roundtable that we held to bring industry and universities together in Europe 2 years ago, we had a speaker from a very big Dutch multinational called VDL, and they said, what we need is people with multidisciplinary skills. Bring people together, and so lifelong learning skills, you have to think about how you're going to do that. And students, you will need them as well. And if you do that, you will make sure that you remain marketable. So this is what I hope when I come back in the future, when you're all almost done, you know a lot, you have all the AI skills, but remember, you looked in the mirror and said, oh yeah, better know critical thinking, better know ethical things, better know all these other things that will help me really be outstanding when I go to companies, so that I can get those jobs that people who maybe had an easy time during their studies because they were a bit lazy using all the large language models, cannot offer to future employers. So what I also have discussed with your Vice-Chancellor, I'm trying to, is that this is so important to bring universities and industry together. And so we are going to organize here in April next year somewhere, maybe a little bit later, but so anyway, in 2027, to bring together industry and business and other organizations with the universities to find best practice. Because things, we don't know all the answers yet. This is going so fast. These developments are going so fast that we have to make sure that we share what we do know and so can do better in the future. So, in closing, I have therefore for your Vice-Chancellor a little comment here, and it is, of course, we have a complex world out there, and we have an uncertain world out there, but we have to go forward with clarity, with responsibility, and with purpose. Also, what I would like to give to you, if you're going to be successful, and I know most of you will be, but one very important driver is be passionate about what you do. If you be passionate about what you do, you will be in high demand. And you will do things that you like, and you can last even in a changing world where AI will have a huge impact on what you do in the future. So, thank you for your attention. And at the end of this, I want to call my PhD student, now professor, now Vice-Chancellor, to the podium. So, dear Ben, I'm allowed to say that. So, about 2 weeks ago, my new book came out on university management. So maybe it has a single idea that might be helpful in your role as Vice-Chancellor. Congratulations. And thank you. And make sure you win from Panama tonight, right? Okay. yeah. It was a little bit longer.
Very
but-
good.
Thank you, Prof. What we have to tell Prof. Akpelo, we are so grateful, so grateful. Can we now take a musical interlude, a very brief one? We are free to dance. We are free to dance. So if you feel like dancing, just stand up and shake your bodies. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. SRC Regimental Band, we are so grateful. Now we do the recognitions and acknowledgements. We are grateful that we have extended invitations to you and you have honored it. The Vice-Chancellor and the entire management is very grateful. We have here Mr. Nelvis Asangba, IT Manager. Can we see you? Can you wave? Yeah. You are welcome. We also have our Retail Sales Manager, GCB Bank HTU, Madam Edith Ofei Daku. We have the Headmaster of Mauli School, Mr. Benjamin there. Thank you for coming. Our own mother, sister, and a former staff of HTU, Ms. Pearl Tachi. We're happy to see you. Then we have Lieutenant Eugenia Lariba Punamane, 66 Artillery. Thank you for coming. Our own president, the president of Hotegra University Alumni, Engineer Andrew Adukwe Tego. Welcome. Then we have Mr. Delali Beve, the council member and then the president of AGI, Eastern Volta and OT, with us. We have Chief Superintendent Samuel Abuaji, the Municipal Police Commander, representing the Regional Commander. We have Professor George Osei Ajay, representative of the VC of Accra Technical University, and the Dean, Faculty of Applied Arts. Prof, you are welcome, and we are so grateful. We have Miss Jennifer Wawanyu, HR Officer, Ghana National Procurement Corporation. We're happy to have you here. Mr. Vincent Hoto, Director of Subsurface, GMPC. Welcome. We also have Mr. Godfred Ofori Som, Senior Manager, Research and Technology, GMPC. GMPC, we are so grateful. Then we have our own First Lady, our Mama, the better half of our hardworking Vice-Chancellor, Mrs. Genevieve Boji Honyenuga. Then we have our own brother, a one-time lecturer of this university, but now with the University of Professional Studies, Accra, Professor of a Public Sector Accounting, Professor Ridima Kra. We're happy to see you. We also have our VC, a very hardworking VC, very hardworking Chief Executive Officer of this university. His Lieutenant Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Christoph Mensa. We have the youngest acting registrar of this university, very fresh in office, Dr. Mike Toroko. We are grateful. Then we have deans, directors, and professors of this beautiful university. Can you wave to us? all of you, beautifully robed. We have the media. We are grateful you are here. We hope to see our stories by tomorrow morning. Let the stories go to bed tonight. Then we have our hardworking staff of HTU. Can you wave to us? All of you, wherever you are. Thank you very much for coming. Then SRC Regimental Band, we are grateful. Now to our students, can we see you? A wave. Yes, you have done well. Clap for yourselves. VC is very grateful because we know you have learned something. We acknowledge the organizers and all those who put together this beautiful program, from VC to Public Affairs, ICT. We are so grateful. At this juncture, I would like to invite our hardworking CEO or a VC to do a presentation to our professor from Netherlands for this beautiful delivery.
Yeah, so let's put our hands together for Professor Tuninga this morning. And yeah, I didn't know he has carried his new book all the way from the Netherlands for me. I saw the book this morning in the office, but I pretended I've not seen it. Because when it was launched, he sent me the extract. And I'm grateful for that gesture. And I'm always grateful for your kindness, Today, a very important academic norm has been satisfied, and for the students and all of us. And what is this academic norm? We have millions of professors, thousands of professors, but only one can become vice-chancellor at a time. Will you want to clap for me? And the norm in academia is that when by God's grace, as we always say in Africa, we attribute everything to God, which is very important. If by God's grace, you are found worthy to become a vice-chancellor, and those of you who are in line to succeed me, you have to pray hard that your professors are alive at the time you are vice-chancellor. And you are vice-chancellor, one of the academic norms that you have to satisfy is to invite your professor who handed out your PhD to you to come and deliver a lecture, one of the lectures in your university. And that's why I said today, I have satisfied that norm. What that means is that I can now go away as a vice-chancellor because I've satisfied the last norm. And then whoever is, if your professor is dead, then that's unfortunate. But if he's alive, then remember that we have to pray for him to be alive so that I will also see the day you honor your professor. That is the academic world. It's about mentoring, and then you become a colleague, and then you move on from there. We are most grateful, Professor Tuninga, for accepting to be here. You see that he does not joke with me. He was here during my investiture. He was here. During my inaugural, he wanted to be here. He bought his ticket, but something else happened. He couldn't be here. But he spoke to us via AI, maybe, social media. He spoke to us. Professor Tuninga, the university is grateful to you for delivering this lecture. Actually, to finalize the academic norm, I should be handing over to you also an honorary doctorate degree today, just to show that you gave to me and I must honor you. But that honor will come at a later date because you have to go through a lot of processes, which I believe will come. But the university has a token to signify your commitment to this university. Not only me, but as you indicated, a number of our colleagues who benefited, not only from Ho Technical University, University of Ghana, UPSA, where have you, they are all over, through your love for Africa. Indeed, your name is Tuninga, meaning bringing people together. And you have indeed brought people all over the world together, including me. May I respectfully invite you for your presentation. Prof, please draw forward. You can come up. Are we ready? Public affairs? Dear Professor Tuninga, this is from our university to appreciate you for being the guest lecturer for the 7th Vice-Chancellor's Distinguished Lecture at the Ho Technical University. We say Akpe in our local language, which means thank you. This is from all of us to you. Actually, I didn't know that you were going to use our motto. There was a little bit of dash in the motto, but it's called Adanu Nazu Kekeli. Adanu Nazu Kekeli. And so we have our beautiful cloth that our fashion department have sewn into a beautiful shirt for you. I believe you wear it. And we thank our fashion people. So at the right time, you wear it in the Netherlands, and always remember that this is your second home. Thank you very much. I will invite you. Yes.
Thank you so much. It has been a real pleasure to be with you and with all you wonderful people. And it is always great to come home to family, my family here in Africa, and you're a part of that too. Okay? I wish you a lot of success, and I'm sure you will do very, very well.
So, may I now invite all your former students, because Professor Tuninga was the director of PhD, Professor Kra, all of you who studied under Professor Tuninga, Ellie, come and lead the presentation to our former director of PhD. Those of you who are here, others are not here. Dr. Aime, so you can see the impact that you have made in Ghana and Africa. We have some of our colleagues in the University of Ghana, they have not been able to come here. There are many more others, as you said, through your instrumentality and love for Africa. Please, Ellie, take the floor.
citation in honor of Prof. Dr. Ronald S.G. Tuninga. This is in appreciation of your iconic role in our lives, especially in our academic journey. You laid a great and firm foundation for learning and research, challenged us to expand our horizons, sparked our passion for knowledge, and set an incredible standard of excellence, which has birthed greater laurels. Even after graduation, you continue to spur us on to higher heights through motivations, mentoring, leadership, and broader educational insights. We are grateful and proud of you. From your PhD graduates, Open University, the Netherlands, Haileen, the Ghana Caucus. Thank you so much.
Let's put our hands together for Professor. Let's do it. So, my concluding remarks. The Vice-Chancellor, and all our distinguished guests together, Headmaster of Maoli, we are grateful for your coming, and all the other headmasters here present. Our council members, our alumni president, we are grateful that you are here. Our service commanders, and all our invited guests. GNPC, we are grateful. We have the oil. We will start mining our own right here. But we are environmentally sensitive, so we will discuss that later. We are grateful that you came to represent and to support. Today's lecture brought us an opportunity to reflect on this whole animal called AI, or whatever it is, and link it to business practice, education, research, and also what are the implications that it has for us as technical universities. Prof walked us through from the times of Industrial Revolution and all the other things that were associated with it. At that time too, there were fears. People were scared that we are losing our job. Indeed, these days I'm scared. But Prof has been able to assure us. God, the last time, I think a couple of weeks ago, I was just playing with my phone, and I asked AI to describe me. And the AI described myself, Professor Ben Hunyenuga, than I know myself. Even no, the AI gave a bio of myself, linked me to being the Vice-Chancellor, being the whatever, my inaugural address, everything. This is the power of AI. But then we have been assured that there's no need to be afraid, our students, but at the same time, we should put a mirror, and that mirror is what will reflect us, especially our students, our learners. If all your study here is only about AI and you forgot your skills, it means that there's something wrong. So how do we harness these technologies, emerging technologies, to be able to do our work? If you are the student who is hiding secretly somewhere, copy AI and go and present your lecturer to score mark. If the lecturer doesn't get you, in Ghana we say, it means somebody will see you. And that is what he said, the mirror that you place there. When you finish school, you check yourself, you realize that you are not of any relevance. Your degree becomes empty. And that is why he challenged us. And I want to assure you, Prof, that we are going to take this challenge and ask ourselves, how should we as technical universities redesign our curriculum to remain relevant in the age of AI? We ask ourselves, what are the new competencies that our graduates should acquire to succeed in the future workplace? And again, we are going to ask ourselves, how can applied research institutions leverage on AI to solve societal and industrial challenges? Yesterday we saw the Baobab plant. How can we leverage on those things to do more with the impact that it comes with? And many of the technologies that we are applying as engineers, as accountants, as hospitality people. And again, to my professors and heads of department and deans, how can we delve into the challenge that Prof threw to us on multidisciplinary approach to doing things? Do we continue to remain in silos that, oh, this is project work for accounting alone, or we have an engineering project, there is an accounting student part of it, a marketing student part of it, a mechanical engineer part of it, an electrical engineer part of it, and then an economist part of it? At the end of the day, they create something that will be useful, and those are the innovations that he talked about to satisfy the billions of people in Africa. This is the challenge that you and I must reflect on, whether as professors, whether as students, as lecturers, as administrators. What are we going to do? I saw my Pro-Vice-Chancellor, who is in charge of those things, taking very serious notes about it. I don't know how he's going to whip us in line to make sure that when I mention Pro-Vice-Chancellor, you are laughing. He's doing the work on my behalf. Let's clap for him. And finally, how can universities and industry collaborate effectively to harness the benefits of AI while mitigating the risk that it poses to us, and many more? I cannot attempt to summarize what has been beautifully delivered. And again, who am I? I'm a vice-chancellor, but he remains my supervisor. He remains my academic leader. So I don't have the shoes to wear to water down what he has said. But the challenge today is that how can we live up to expectation? How can business practice education and research in the era of AI implications for us as technical universities, and not only technical university, as GNPC, as UPSC, as University of Ghana, as everybody? What can we do from there? I believe that, as the good book says, we are going to leave this room and be converted and turn from our old ways, because he says we have to continuously be learning. We have to unlearn the past and look at how the past will influence the things that we are doing, so that the vehicle that my automobile people have promised me, I will be able to sit in that vehicle with the support of AI and their own skills before I'll exit as Vice-Chancellor. I've sat in one already. I want to sit in a more cozy one so that we will know that we have listened indeed. Prof, these questions will continue to engage us thoughtfully as academic people, as industry leaders, as policymakers, as researchers and students. We are most grateful for your generosity. In fact, Professor came here with his own resources. Let's clap for him. I asked him, can the university buy you at least an air ticket? He said, Ben, I'll do this for you, and I'll do this for ETU. Prof, we are grateful for your commitment and support for us. On this note, we have engaged, and time is fast spent, and I would like to thank you once again, Professor Tuninga, for being there for us and for being there for the university. He continues to lead. He continues to beckon. He mentioned the roundtable conference that we'll be having for the whole of Africa, and it will happen in ATU for business schools. Because recently in May, I was with him in Germany with the Dean of Business School, and we were the only Africans and the only African institution that participated in the second roundtable. That alone tells you how. Because when you hold on to the apron strings of your supervisor, and of course, it shows that, Dr. Grate shows that I've been a good boy throughout. That is why, Nemele Yesupea Ublaya, Nemele Asidege. That is the story. So you hold on to your academic leader, and he leads you. Whenever there is any opportunity, he doesn't forget HTU. At a point in time, entrepreneurship, he got our students to participate in a program, I think Hans University, and he invited us to compete with the Dutch students, and we beat them, and he was very happy for us. So wherever he is, he doesn't forget us. It's not because of me, but he has passion for Africa. He has passion for Ghana, and he has been to Ghana many times. And this program, Roundtable Conference, God willing, will be sponsored by AACSB. For us to be the only technical university that is registered by AACSB is because of him. When he was vice president of AACSB, he invited, said, Ben, you have to belong. And now we are the global stage. And we look forward to that program that will happen next year. And African universities, business schools. Professor Sakra, I told your VC, you will be here. Who will be your headmasters at the time? Legon will be here. All of them will be here. And we'll have a conversation over 2 days. And all of this continue to put ATU on the map where it matters. On this note, I'm sincerely grateful to all of you once again. And we wish you a very beautiful day. To our guests who have left everything to be with us today, I hope you have not been disappointed. But even if you did, it means that the conversation goes on. God bless us all. God bless STU. God bless our homeland, Ghana. And God bless the Netherlands. Thank you very much. And we all looking forward that this evening, as he said, Ghana will win Panama. And after this, I'm going to put on my T-shirt for Ghana. And I believe that we should do that and make sure that we win. And the last time we saw the Netherlands, it was tough, but they drew. But we are going to win. God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you, VC. So I have a few announcements for all of us, but before I proceed to giving the announcement, I would want to acknowledge the presence of representatives from the Ghana National Fire Service. Please, you are very, very welcome, and thank you for coming. Also, I think I am catching Dr. Bright Adonai, the Vice President of the National Alumni of Ho Technical University. Thank you for coming. Let's take the following announcements. Admissions. All are to take note that the new short code for the purchase of the admission voucher is students, especially since you are referring your friends, your family, your schoolmates, please take note. You are not to use the old short code. If you forward it to them and they use this, you are damaging your own relationships with them. Take note of the new short code. *776 *217 hash. I take it again. *776 *217 hash. This short code is for all student services that require payment, such as fees payment. All students are to stay behind after recession for a short announcement and refreshment. I'm sure we are happy about refreshment. Thank you. All our invited guests are informed that we will be joining the Vice-Chancellor and the guest lecturer at the Nkulenu demonstration restaurant for refreshment. All right, thank you very much. After this, we are taking note of the order of photograph. After we take the Miade Nyingba Lolola, and before we recess, we will take a few photographs in the auditorium, and this is the order of photograph. Okay, so we'll have the Vice-Chancellor and the guest lecturer first here. Then we'll have deans, HODs in gown joining them after that. So as I am speaking, it is ongoing. After the deans and HODs in gown join them, that's what I mentioned. We'll come to the stage, yes. So please, deans and directors, join VC, deans and directors, academic directors in robe, and HODs in the robe. Please join VC and the guest lecturer on the stage. Those in their academic gowns, After which the invited guests would join them, and then we'll take the rest of the pictures outside. rest should be taken outside. That's what I'm doing. That's the other thing. All right, invited guests. Invited guests, please join us on stage. All invited guests. All invited guests. We'll have the opportunity to take other ones and exclusives outside the auditorium. And we'll also acknowledge the presence of reps from the Environmental Protection Authority. You are welcome, and thanks for coming. After recession, you will have the opportunity to take pictures with the guest lecturer and the Vice-Chancellor if you so wish, but that will be very brief. Yes, management members, please join us. All management members and directors from administration. Director of Academic Affairs, Director of Public Affairs, Director of HR. Which other director? Director of General Administration. All directors from administration. ICT Director. ICT Director, Public Affairs Director, Miss Esther and Miss Sylvia. You also take a picture with the guest lecturer. And Mr. Agana. Mr. Agana. Last one. Esther, Public Affairs, ICT, Sylvia, and Mr. Agana. We will never take it. from council, please join. Reps from council. Reps from council. All right. Students, please take note that you have to wait for your refreshment and announcement. Thank you very much. SRC bands, please start preparing for recession. Thank you very much, SRC band. We take the Mia Denyingba Lolola. Please, shall we be upstanding? Kindly be upstanding. SRC, Mia Denyingba Lolola. All right, thank you very much. We'll be upstanding while management and convocation recesses. Recess. We are recessing. Respectfully, let's be still. Oh, SRC, you didn't give us anything to recess. SRC. Please, let's get seated for your announcement whilst your refreshment comes. Ushers, please be on standby and receive the refreshment for the students. Thank you.
Please, this announcement is for final year students. Final year students.